We're going to be doing a review for book 2 of Avatar The Last Airbender. Like I said, we've been doing a review. We're going to each book before the live action series comes out on Netflix, February 22nd. This is our review. It's going to be our review for book 2. We have going to be a review for book 3 next week on the show Saturday,
Mhm.
twitch.tv/afternoon tune, usually streaming every Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, usually about 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. So if you want to catch our live review of it, you can do so. But yeah, so this is book 2, season 2 of Avatar: The Last Airbender, the original series here. And this is all about, and this is titled Earth. So this is detailing
Mhm.
Aang going, trying to find a Earth, master Earthbender there to teach him how to Earthbend. That's one of the elements he has to learn because it's the way of the Avatar to learn all 4 elements. He's already got
Mhm.
air down, and he's already in the first book. We already see he's got a water bending teacher, Katara. He's got a teaching him water bending. That's his master there, his Sifu. But
Mhm.
now he is in search for a earthbending teacher. At first, it was he was going to go to King Boomy and go to him and have him teach him, but can't do that, and we
Yeah,
end up
that's very much the arc of the first 3 episodes of the season,
yeah.
which I think the show Avatar is one of those shows that really did a good job of not sticking to one specific story structure, because the first season, it was all about, we have to get to the North Pole, we have to find a waterbending master. And the first 3 episodes of the show, they trick you into thinking that it's gonna play out the same way in book 2. And they get to Omashu, and it's occupied by the Fire Nation.
Yeah. And this is the introduction this season of 2 really major characters for
Mhm.
the series. One is Toph, for a lot of people, Toph, who is one of people's favorite characters in,
Mhm.
in the whole series. One of my favorite characters, honestly. I love Toph. And then also you have the trio of Azula and May, and also Ty Lee, who is the trio that you see that in this season as well, was catching up with Zuko and Uncle Iroh. So Zuko and Uncle Iroh are officially banished. They are
Mm.
no longer. It's
Yeah,
like
they're
they're just basically done with.
yeah,
Um,
it's like yeah, it's like the Fire Lord basically like tolerated them running around outside and their hunt for the Avatar, kind of just sending them on this wild goose chase. But oh shit, the Avatar's actually back. Yeah, I'm sending my favorite child after him.
Yeah, I'm sending the one that can get things done. My favorite sociopath, you know what I mean?
Damn psychopathic daughter.
She's gonna get things done. So, they're officially banished there. He sent his, daughter to basically, capture them and bring them back. When they found that plot was going on, that's when they kind of are on the run. So you have a situation with Zuko and Iroh on the run. You have a situation where now there's a new group of people chasing Team Avatar. That is, like I said, Zula, Ty Lee, and May there who are chasing them, and they're a dangerous force,
Mhm.
really dangerous force there, and much more maybe ruthless than what we've seen from Zuko and Uncle Iroh. What did you think about the introductions of the character? We saw a little bit of Azula only from a flashback
Yeah,
sequence in season 1, but
I don't think we were introduced to Azula at all in book 1 of the show.
well, she
She
was
was
just in a
only she was
flashback.
only yeah, she was seen in a flashback, kind of at Zuko's Agni Kai, where his father burned his face, with just the most psychopathic smile on her face while it was
Mhm.
happening. But here we get the proper introduction with her voice performance by Gray Delisle, Gray Griffin, who is one of our great voice actresses. And we see so much of, just by how she behaves and how we can infer how she was raised and how she was brought up. We can infer a lot about uh, how dangerous of a threat Fire Lord Ozai is.
Yeah, and also she introduces us to also a different type of bending that we haven't seen before in the series, which is lightning bending, where she can also have lightning there, which is a secondary kind of almost bending ability that some people who do bend can have. Like if you're a water bender, you can also do ice
Mhm.
or blood bending.
Yeah,
If
but
you're
we don't get into that until like next book.
next book, but also it's so fire. Like if you can be a firebender, the next level to that of being even more an expert level as a firebender is lightning. You can master that. So that's what we see here, what she can do. So that makes her almost even more destructive and more of like this powerful, even more than Zuko, as we see, because he hasn't
Mhm.
learned how to bend lightning yet.
Yeah, and you also have May, who is this expert knife thrower, and you also have Ty Lee, who's a circus acrobat, but she specializes in chi blocking.
Yeah.
And the show did a good job of introducing threats to our characters other than other benders, because these are two just like normal human characters that can go toe to toe with all of our main cast.
Okay. I'm trying to pull up a picture of Ty Lee and May. Um, yeah, these are a little bit of sus pictures. I'm gonna try to find a little bit of uh some better pictures here because a lot of these I don't think I can show on stream here. But yeah, let me maybe this one's fine. So I'll show this is Ty Lee, and it's interesting. So Azula, she's the only one that is a bender out of the three of them. Like you said, Miley is just an expert. They're experts in more in hand to hand combat type of stuff there, and so they bring other things to the table other than just bending, which I think is nice. I think that explores a lot of things differently there.
And
Uh,
even personality wise, because while Azula is the more outright psychopathic character between the three, May is just kind of like this bored socialite who is really looking for a challenge, and Ty Lee is just this endless ball of positivity.
Yeah, and this is all 3 of them, together. So this is Ty Lee, Azula, and then May, right here. Another big element, like I said, besides, searching for the, earthbender there, which they find pretty much early on, and that is Toph,
Mhm.
in this, where they go to a, fighting, ring, they're fighting competition tournament of
Yeah,
earthbenders,
yeah, it's basically pro wrestling.
pro wrestling. You even have a character who basally is The Rock. He's basically
Yeah,
like, he
yeah.
talks in 3rd person.
Sorry. Do you mean the boulder?
The boulder, yeah, which is actually that's pretty funny. Yeah, they actually had like a wrestling
And so a fun fact, Michael Dante Martino and Brian Konietzko, they originally wanted Dwayne Johnson to do the voice of that character, but he was too big at the time.
wow, damn,
Mhm.
that was a missed opportunity. He would have been beloved if he did, that if he came on Avatar: The Last Airbender, yeah. So yeah, so you have that kinda going, yeah, basically pro wrestling, and they find this character, Toph, who, by day, she's a
Mhm.
princess of this very noble family, and the noble family that she basically is sheltered, kept
Mhm.
inside because she's blind, so her parents think she's this little helpless girl, but at night, she's, what's her name? The
The
blind
blind
bandit.
bandit. At
Yeah.
night and in this tournament, she is, and I quote, that bitch.
Yeah, she's a badass. I mean, she's what I mean, as the show says, like one of the earthbending teachers there. She's the greatest earthbender that he's
Mhm.
ever seen ever.
Yeah,
And
and yeah, her development is probably one of my favorite arcs in the show. And something that I love about it is that, with you have a blind you have one, she is this kind of very tiny wayfish little kid, and a little girl on top of that, but she's also blind, so there was this temptation to kind of have the world kind of coddle her, and that's very much what her parents do. But no, she develops a way to see using her earthbending. She's very daredevil in that sense, where at points the characters and also the audience kind of forgets that she's blind.
yeah, because she sees with her feet. Like
Mhm.
like, yeah, very daredevilish. The vibrations is the way she kind of sees things. And they do make some jokes as far as her blindness kind of goes there. They do kind of take some jokes there as far as there's an episode where they're in Bang Sensei, which we're going to get into why they go there, but it's a basically a huge earth kingdom there that is heavily protected, or so they
Mhm.
think is heavily protected. And so they go there and they're trying to put up posters because they lost Appa. And then she's like, "Oh, what you think I can't put up posters because I'm blind?" And she slaps the glue on and then slaps it backwards. She fucking completely the other
It's
way.
like it's upside down, isn't it?
Yeah. So they do some funny
100%.
jokes there with it.
Yeah, and one of my favorites is the library, where they try and go into this underground library in the middle of the desert that to find some secrets, some potential strategies about how to defeat the Fire Nation. And they're flying around an Appa, and Tappa's the one that shouts, "I see it over there!" It's just
Yeah. Yeah, so it's some good stuff there as well. And then she ends up joining Team Avatar. She's
Mhm.
the latest member there. So now instead of 3, it's 4. And very interesting. Now you have 2 girls on the team there.
Mhm.
Also, there's a little bit of friction there between Katara and Toph at first because Toph is
Mhm.
usually mostly have done things for herself, very
Yeah.
self-independent, self-reliant.
Yeah, she's self-reliant, she's kind of a loner, so that leads to strife within the group, which I think is explored excellently in episode 8, which is the chase.
And what do you love about that in the chase there?
With the chase, you're taking all 4 of our characters, we have this element of a new person joining the group, and we also have this, just constantly ticking element of, Azula, May, and Ty Lee chasing them in this, like, little tank.
Yeah, and that's also it shows, like, with the Fire Nation, they're so technologically
Mhm,
advanced over all these other kinda nations there that they have all this kind of material and weapons, and, yeah, you see them, they're just chasing them all day, all night, 24 hours,
mhm.
basically,
Yeah,
and again.
yeah, they are not leaving them alone. And something that works so well about the season is where book one, I kind of felt like it fell into the structure of okay, we'll have an episode that is overarching into the main story, but we're also going to have like little week to week side adventures. And book two corrects that basically from episode 6 on. So basically from the introduction of Toph, we are getting this more serialized structure
Yeah.
into the show where every episode really leans into the last elements that seem like they're going to be kind of one-offs end up tying back into the main story. Even the most episodic one with the library, it introduces two of the biggest elements of the remainder of the season, which is this added ticking clock of a solar eclipse that is taking away the Fire Nation's firebending, and also Appa gets kidnapped.
Yeah. Appa does, and the first season had a lot of hopping around to different places, a lot of like them kind of because you're almost discovering the world with the characters and kind of what's going on because you had Aang who was trapped for 100 years. You also have Katara and Sokka who were in the Southern Water Tribe who basically they're cut off from a lot of the rest of the world. So they haven't really gotten to see much of the rest of the world. So you see a lot of kind of them hopping around to different places. This season, you don't really see that as much. I mean, majority episodes take place in Bang Se,
Mhm,
which is the huge Earth Kingdom there, and they travel there to go to see the Earth King to let him know about the war, what's going on outside the walls there. And you see a lot of refugees are making their way to Bang Se because that's what they think is a safe haven
mhm,
amongst all the kind of Fire Nation conquering all these other different nations. But you mentioned, yeah, Appa. Well, that's the thing that happens in the series. He goes missing, gets kidnapped.
mhm,
Appa does, and that goes to show you with this here when that happens, how vital a lot of these characters are. Because even though Appa doesn't talk, he's just an animal. He's a
mhm.
bison that they use to fly around. It just when he was missing, like you really felt that loss. Like you
Mhm.
really felt it
Yeah,
amongst the group.
it's like the show does a good job of making every character feel like they matter, even the nonverbal ones like Appa and Momo.
Yeah, they do have really good personalities there, that you feel it like so when they're gone, you really do miss them. And then, I mean, do not play around with him and that bison. I ain't love that bison. He love Appa, man. Like when he
Hey,
lost Appa,
Avatar Kyoshi's at the wheel now, motherfuckers.
yeah, I mean, when he found out that Appa was gone, he lost it. He went full Avatar, man. He went into the Avatar state,
And
and went beast mode.
and yeah, that the show has a great pilot, and that's the one that really explores the Avatar state. Because prior to the first episode of season of book two, the Avatar state was just kind of this thing that happens with Aang, where he is at his most powerful, his eyes and his tattoos start glowing. And in this, we really understand what that we come to understand what it really is, and how dangerous it is, because if he's killed while in the Avatar state, it's done. The reincarnation cycle, done. The Avatar will cease to exist if he dies in it. So it's adding this kind of Deus Ex Machina, but introducing a mechanic as to why aren't we just whipping this out all the time?
Yeah, very true, and that's very smart for them to do that. Like I said, and also you do have something. I think this was in season 2, not season 1, right? Where they
Mhm,
kind of discuss of like I think it was with the Earth King, was it? One of the Earth
mhm.
people where they're like, well, we're just gonna have you fight the Fire Nation now, and then
Yeah, that was the opening of that was the premiere of this season. It's like
yeah,
they go to this general where they are looking to get escorted back to Omashu, and the general is just trying to look. We heard about what you did in the North Pole. You defeated an entire armada in the Avatar state. So why don't we just trigger it and you go fight the Fire Lord now? Easy peasy, 100-year war over.
Right. Yeah. And you see that, it's not something that it's, he's not like the Hulk. He can't just, Marvel, he can just kind of just like, hey, that's my secret. I'm always in the Avatar state, and then just go there. He needs kind of maybe special incentive to do that
No,
all the time.
it is this very this thing that relies heavily on his emotions, and when played with that, it basically just is this kind of blinding rage that Aang has yet to learn how to control.
Yeah, and we saw it a little bit in season 1 when he found out about the air nomad genocide,
Mhm.
and we see it again here in season 2, like I said, when he finds out that, Appa's gone. Stuff with Bong Sensei, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I was very well when I was a kid first watching this. I was kind of, oh, okay, or okay. I was kind of like, all right, can we get back to like the main story? Can we get back to the bending and the fighting? But rewatching it several years later, I was impressed that this show was willing to discuss the topics of that Bossing Say is, which is this very much discussing the kind of evils of propaganda and the horrors of this very isolationist society that Bossing Say is under, because Bossing Say, it's very much like Wakanda. It's like, all right, we'll allow you in, but there is no war in Bossing Say. We're just tricking the people, lulling them into security, and kidnapping and brainwashing anybody who threatens that peace.
Yeah, and you have basically like a White House press secretary in GD. He's
Yeah,
like, yeah,
GD.
there is no Warren Bonds say, which is become a big meme from the show there to
Yeah,
basically say that
yeah, it's
it's
turned
fucked up.
into yeah, it's turned into what are you talking about? There is no live action Last Airbender movie.
Yeah, I mean, so that's become like a funny meme thing that's happened. But
Yeah,
yeah, like
you have one of the other villains who is a Long Feng, who is head of the Dai Li, which is Bossing Say's secret police, I think is voiced beautifully by Clancy Brown.
yeah, Clancy Brown always turned in a great
Mhm.
voice performance
Yeah,
there.
and the first episode that's set in Bossing Say proper, City of Walls and Secrets, that was nominated for a Primetime Emmy for Outstanding Animated Program.
Yeah, and that was one of the I think longer episodes of the season there too.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, I believe so. And also that we also get the reintroduction of Jet, who we met in the first season, and something that the show does really well is bringing back these characters that we only meet for like maybe 1 or 2 episodes. It makes the world feel alive.
Yeah, and we also see a return, like, bringing my characters come back. We also see the Kyoshi Warriors, they come
Mhm.
back, and make a return there, and we see that Suki, there as well,
Mhm.
we saw in the
Yeah,
first season.
yeah, freaking Sokka, aka the last Riz Bender.
Yeah, I mean, he's got qualities, man. I mean, like I said, Sokka, Zuko too. Zuko is also big. He's a lot of women there. You also see like Uncle Iroh and Zuko go to Bang Sensei there, and
Mhm.
with this also, you talk about one of the better episodes of just the entire series overall. With the second season, we get to see a lot more of them, and you see the episode Zuko alone,
Mm,
where you see the backstory more of his childhood, Zuko
mhm,
growing up, what happened between how did his father, who was second in line for succession to the throne, how he usurped Uncle Iroh, who was first in line because he was the firstborn son, how that kind of happened, and you see more about that, and you see more about kind of how he grew up with Azula and
mhm.
his mother. Yeah, what did you think about that episode? It's considered one of the best episodes of the series.
Shit. It is kind of hard to say what exactly is my favorite episode of Avatar: The Last Air and Bender is, because there are so many potential candidates, and you could take like 10 of these episodes, and if you picked any one of them, you can make a strong case. And most of them are the Zuko episodes, with dealing with his backstory, dealing with flashbacks to his childhood being raised next to Azula, has very emotionally abusive relationship with his father, and this relationship that he has with his mother that was very much left a hole in him, and also this this very interesting question of try as you want to redeem yourself, regain your honor, you are always going to be the Fire Prince. He builds this relationship with this Earth Kingdom family, and he tries to save him without it, but he eventually resorts to outing himself as a firebender, as the banished prince. And that town that he just saved from these kind of abusive Earth Kingdom soldiers, they turn on him.
Yeah, and it goes to show you the reputation a lot of firebending people have across the other nations. As soon as they say firebending, it's like, well, you're outed. You're a
Yeah,
huge threat. Yeah.
yeah, it's a fascinating look about, because Zuko, he grew up as the prince of the Fire Nation. He was banished, but he still held on to and believed a lot of the propaganda that we see later in book 3. He believed a lot of it, and this is him, seeing the world and seeing how they view the Fire Nation.
Mm, yeah.
And that's a big thing in his arc this season, about questioning all of that
Yeah.
and really asking himself, what does he want?
Yeah. So you see the connection with this family, that he's kind of connecting with, very Western kind of, traveler,
Mhm,
going to these, towns, and he's got to clean up the town, very much that style. And then he sees a connection with this family because they lost their son in a
mhm.
war, much like how Uncle Iroh, that was the whole situation in Bang Se, like he was about to do the siege of Bang Se. And then he was known as the Great Dragon, and then he ended up losing his son. His son's name was Lee Tun, I think.
Lu Ten.
Lieutenant, he lost his son in the war. And you see that how kind of in a way Uncle Iroh sees Zuko as kind of like in a
Mhm.
way his other son, as close as they've gotten. And then also you see stuff even with Azula of Azula, she's fucking crazy. Um, you know,
Yeah, it's that question of that we brought up during our review of the last Hunger Games movie. Is like, okay, was this person always like this, or was there like even a shred of goodness in them? And no, this bitch was always a psychopath.
yeah, I mean, there's even the scene where her mother just looks and, "What the hell is wrong with this girl? Like, what the hell did I get? Like, what did I give birth to?"
And one of my favorite moments in the episode Bitter Work, which again, with season 2 of the show, basically from 6 on, it's banger after banger after banger. And with the Bitter Work, it's Aang starting to learn earth bending from Toph, and Zuko kind of struggling with a similar dilemma where Iroh tries to teach him how to lightning bend.
Yeah.
It's like,
Um,
I know you wanted to protect me, but I need to learn more advanced firebending. It's like, I know what you're gonna say. I should try to resolve things peacefully. It's like, no, she's crazy. She needs to go down.
yeah. I mean, she's a threat for sure. Even though it's like, yeah, I mean, I guess you could say maybe she was always born a little off, maybe. But also, I think I mean, I guess you could also
there,
say she was.
there's a
Uh,
lot of. We could go on into this conversation about nature versus nurture with with a Fire Lord Ozai's children.
yeah, but I was gonna say with her, it just seems like she is a woman, in this dominated male
Mhm.
society. You see that she knows the history of the Fire Nation. She's the one that's actually practicing every day. But you do have a person
Yeah,
in,
she's the prodigy versus Zuko, who had to struggle and fight and persevere. And I think that's why his character resonates with a lot of people today.
yeah. Yeah, you see a lot of that stuff there. So I thought that was a great episode. I think Zuko alone was a really great episode there. And like I said, after episode 6 is really a lot of great stuff after that episode.
It is
Uh
nonstop bangers.
yeah, and I was looking up some stuff about this second season. So apparently there was a lot of people who were trying to make Tong a thing. Like they were trying to make it like Toph and Aang. Like they thought that they made a kind of better pairing than Aang and Katara.
Yeah,
Uh
I never once really read into that. I
mm.
mean, because Aang kind of is more of a gentle soul, and Toph would walk all over him.
Well, maybe I mean, I don't know, maybe opposites attract. Maybe that's what people thought, Katara, she's like people talked about her and Zuko, good girl, bad guy, bad boy type thing. Maybe, maybe that's what they were thinking
yeah,
there with
with the events of the final episode of this season, how they play out, yeah, that ain't happening.
yeah. Um so yeah, I mean, I think when seeing because most of these episodes, like I said, Bonds say you see that a lot of them in the Earth King capital, them trying to meet the Earth King, finally
Mhm.
get to meet him, finally get to tell him about what's really happening and what's kind of really going on.
And this dude is like, "Wait, what?"
Yeah. And
Yeah,
who does the voice
and
for
the
the Earth King? Because he sounded
yeah,
very familiar.
I'm trying to look at the voice cast. So right,
Yeah.
Olivia Hack plays Ty Lee.
Yeah, he
Michael
sounded very, very
Matsu.
familiar to me, who the Earth King there. But when they actually, yeah, go to meet him and actually show him kind of what's going on, and great action sequence by the way too. When they actually have to fight through these tons of guards to get to him, and great sequences there. I thought that was like really fantastic. Um, so yeah, and this is already by this time they had got Appa back, which was a great reunion. By the way, when they actually finally do get Appa, and after so much
Yeah,
long time.
so yeah, Phil Lamar is the voice of the Earth King in the show.
That's what I yeah, because it did sound very familiar. It did sound like him, yeah, a little bit there. I guess he hyped up his voice a little bit, hyped it up, for this, yeah, so it did sound very familiar. Yeah, it's like I said, when Appa comes back at that point, towards the season when they go meet the Earth King, it just feels like a member of the family has finally come back, like, they all embrace him and everything. You see, he's been rough road. I mean, he got trapped, and he was in a circus being tortured and
Ooh,
abused.
and yeah, and something that I think the season does so well is like because from yeah, 15, which everybody I think which a lot of people refer to as one of their best episodes of the show, is kind of this just slice of life vignettes of all of our characters going about their bossing city. You get a tale of Toph and Katara, a tale of Sokka, a tale of Zuko, Momo, and Iroh. And you have one of the most heartbreaking couple minute vignettes of television with Iroh doing these like little gestures of kindness to various people in the city to before he goes into this meadow to mourn the death of his son on his birthday. And it was even more poignant because the actor who played Iroh, Mako Iwamatsu, he passed away just between episodes just when episode 30 of the show finally aired, right when the library finally released.
That was a great, yeah, final performance there. I didn't really.
And you also have this vignette with the tale of Momo, which drops the biggest bomb of the season, in that Appa's in Bossing Say.
Mm, yeah. Let's say even yeah, a lot of these animal characters, I mean, hey, they add something to the team as well. Even like a little creature like
Yeah,
Momo.
and it's one thing when a show does have these kind of like standalone vignettes, but it's nice that we get an episode where it is just our characters living their lives in the city, because we set up this kind of time constraint of, we can't meet the Earth King just yet. We have to wait a while. So let's, explore the city, look for Appa. So we get Katara and Toph having a girls' day out. We get Aang helping a zookeeper. We get Sokka crashing a girls' only poetry club and having this world's version of a rap battle.
Yeah, he was doing his chevalier. He was doing like he walked in doing the
haiku,
violin.
haiku battle.
Yeah, a haiku battle there. So that was pretty nice. Yeah, that was
Yeah,
pretty
and
fun.
Zuko going on a date.
Yeah, that was pretty nice to see how kind of it's like he's kind of like Mary Elizabeth Winstead from Birds of Prey. Like he's so used to just
Mm,
training and fighting for doing this one thing, and like he doesn't know how to really interact with other human beings in a real way. And I thought that was yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting there. Um, I think that this season is stronger than the first season just because
mhm,
of I think storytelling. I mean, we're past kind of just introducing you to the world type of thing. Now we're getting into a lot of like more serious elements of the show, a lot more of kind of what's going on elsewhere, and like getting into this war and what we're gonna do about this war, the hundred
mhm,
year war that's been going on. The Fire Nation's been dominating. And the addition of seeing Azula, Toph, characters like Mei Lee, and then also
mm,
Ty Lee and May, I'm sorry, it's just May there. Um, that also is such a great addition to the show as well, those characters,
mm.
and does so
And
much.
yeah, and also having some of the best character development in this entire show, because Aang, I think, is really struggling with where the first season I thought it did it really well in pockets with episodes like The Storm. The season two, it does a great job of exploring that guilt that Aang feels, having, disappeared for 100 years, having allowed the 100 Year War to happen. And I think it's done really well in the penultimate episode, The Guru.
Mhm, yeah.
And
Uh,
that explores that really well, which also, this might have my favorite season finale build up to a season finale of television I've seen in a long time.
yeah. I mean, this was I think this season is definitely cinema, I think a lot of times.
Oh, yeah, this entire season is cinema because there are so many moving parts into the final like 5 episodes of the season. Like recovering Appa, overcoming this conspiracy within the city, and Azula arriving in Ba Sing Se and setting up this coup to take down the Earth King. Zuko coming to the crossroads of, is he gonna go with his uncle, or is he going to betray that his entire growth through this and go back into chasing the Avatar,
Mm, yeah. So
which I,
besides
which I think is this moment in the show that when I first saw it, I felt like angry because why would you betray his character arc like that? And rewatching the show now, it's like shit. Having that conversation about moving on with your life was real easy when that temptation wasn't around. When there was like the idea that no, I'll probably never find the Avatar.
mm, yeah, and you see in the scene, like, he's still kinda looking for him and thinking, like, that's
Mhm.
gonna make his father take him back and accept him back into the Fire Kingdom again and be the prince, and maybe it's a time to move on from that, and you kinda see the seeds of that planting here for the next season. Um, so besides Zuko Alone Tales of Bang Sensei, what's some other favorite episodes of you?
I think this has the best. My favorite episode of the season is probably the finale with the Crossroads of Destiny, where you have everything culminating together in this very epic finale with this amazing action set piece inside the catacombs under Ba Sing Se, having this interaction with Zuko and Katara, where they explore this this commonality between them and how both of them have lost their mother to this war. Having Zuko finally uh, make his choice as far as his arc this season is gone.
Mm, okay. Any Great Divide type episode here like you have in, season 1?
Uh, the closest one I think to the Great Divide, I would say is episode 5 with Avatar Day.
Mm,
I do like the idea of exploring this idea that okay, while the Avatar is this well-known figure, there are gonna be some haters.
mm, yeah. With
I thought
Avatar.
that and I thought that was a very interesting concept, but it also has one of my favorite subplots with Zuko uh, going back and donning the blue spirit mask in order to, steal from people and provide for him and his uncle. And that has the biggest emotional payoff with Zuko deciding to go out on his own, which sets up Zuko alone.
I think also with this episode, you see that Sokka, you see his value more to the team in this season, and then with this episode in like Avatar Day, because he's like plays fake ass Sherlock Holmes, and he goes around.
But he actually builds a solid case only for Aang to completely fumble it.
Yeah, it wasn't really his fault, really, totally 100%. But in that episode, like I said, I do like the concept of like with Avatar Day of like he has all these past lives with the
Mhm,
Avatar, and then what if somebody who he wronged in the past life all of a sudden comes to him now? It's like, hey, you fucked me over, and then this was like
mhm.
the his past Avatar self, Kyoshi. She had killed one of their rulers, and you're thinking like, yeah, they're gonna figure it out. It's like, oh, of course not. The
Yeah,
Avatar wouldn't do that.
yeah, the Avatar wouldn't do that, and I feel like that would have been an interesting concept until Kyoshi possesses Aang and basically says, "Yeah, I killed that motherfucker. What?"
Yeah, which I like because it shows, like, it's like not all the avatars are like Aang. They're all
Yeah,
not,
yeah, yeah, because every avatar, they are the embodiment of the different kingdom that they were born in. You've had avatars from different societies. You've had earthbenders, earth kingdoms. You had Fire Nation citizens. You have waterbenders be the avatar, and the show does a good job of exploring all of those different ideologies and how they express themselves through the avatar.
mm, yeah, and, her was one that didn't fuck around. Yeah, she
She
was one.
stood Kyoshi stands on business.
And this is Kyoshi, this is, her right here. So this is one of the more famous
Mhm.
past self of the Avatar that you see in the series, like, it's Kyoshi, and what's another kind of famous past Avatar self? Uh,
I know they released a novel about Avatar Yang Chen, who is the last Airbender, air nomad Avatar.
okay. And then I also didn't they do something with the Fire Nation, the one that was right before Aang, the Fire
Avatar
Nation?
Roku. Yeah,
Yeah,
that comes in the third book with the episode Avatar and the Fire Lord.
yeah. So yeah, she's one of the more like famous kind of Avatar past stuff that you see kind
Yeah,
of in.
because she was the one that yeah, she's the one that don't fuck around.
Yeah, I mean, she was yeah, like I said, she was just like, "Yeah, I killed him, yeah, so what?" Yeah,
Yeah, I
like, I
killed
did it.
that. Yeah,
I
I
mean,
killed that motherfucker. I'll do it again.
he was the evil guy, he was bad, he was a tyrant, dictator, it's like, "Yeah, I killed him, yeah, he deserved it, yeah." He wanted to conquer my land, I didn't let him do it, and he
And even technically, she didn't kill him. She just kind of caused the little peninsula she was on to split off, and that became Kyoshi Island. And the dude fell to his death because he refused to back away.
yeah, so, yeah, yeah, you could almost say that. He kinda, yeah, did it himself. Yeah, so this season, like I said, I don't think there's any, like, you had the first season, The Great Divide, which I
Mhm.
thought was much weaker
Yeah,
episode of
that
the season.
that was a weaker episode because one, it takes the conflict and it's just over exaggerated to the point where it's just silly in a show that while very childish and very juvenile, it delved into that more serious subject matter that I thought it was handled much better. And even in Avatar Day this season, I think it's the weakest of this book, but it still introduces interesting questions about what the Avatar is. It has one of kind of the beginning of Zuko's arc through this whole season.
Yeah. Yeah, so what would you give, book 2 of Avatar:
We
Last Airbender?
we've already said this is one of the greatest seasons of television of all time. There's a reason that this show is I think beloved as it is today, and I think a large part of that is with how great book 2 is. If book 1 Water was this show Star Wars, this was its Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah. Because you do see a lot of the villains making moves in this, being really a
Yeah,
force.
and the season ends with Azula wins. The
Yeah,
Earth Kingdom falls. Ba Sing Se is conquered by the Fire Nation at the end of this season,
yeah,
and Aang is on the brink of death. And it's kind of this emotional gut punch where because Aang is told that in order to control the Avatar state, he has to let go of all of his earthly attachments, including his relationship with Katara and excuse me, his feelings for her. And he gives that up and is in the Avatar state. And we've seen this done so many times throughout the show. This is the moment where Aang turns it all around, and no, he gets struck by Azula.
mhm. Oh, it's a very dangerous moment there. Like you said, and that adds a sense of danger with the Avatar state. If you die in that state, your connection, you're gone. All the avatars that line is in. That whole line is ended
Mhm.
right there. Which kinda adds to that. Yeah, this is a great season. This is cinema for sure for this season of Avatar: Last Airbender. I do like it. I think it's an improvement over season 1, which all season 1
Mhm.
was already really great. I think this
Mhm.
really improves upon that.
Yeah,
Uh,
season one, while great on its own, it had a lot of the same problems that a lot of first seasons of television do, where it spends a long time trying to find the voice of what is this show gonna be.
mm, yeah. And I think it's with a second season settle into what it wants to be. You have a lot fleshed out
Yeah,
more with the characters.
flesh out the characters, flesh out the world more, eschew the structure of the previous season, and add something completely new. Go into that more serialized format.
Mm, absolutely, and seeing more of the backstory between Zuko, between Azula, introducing kind of these characters. Toph, for instance, example there, really good, well done there. Introducing new characters, and Toph really feels really good as a part of a new member of the team, which was
Yeah,
I thought great
yeah,
addition there.
yeah. We talked about it with Succession and the introduction of Alexander Skarsgård late into that show's third season. It was like he felt like a character that fit right in with the crowd,
Mm,
with this whole cast.
yeah. So yeah, that was our thoughts on Avatar. Last Airbender book 2. We got one more book left. Uh,
Cinema.
one more book left. We're gonna be doing
Fuck,
that next Saturday there.
fuck. I was hyped watching. I was so into watching the show that I kind of accidentally ended up almost halfway through book 3 watching it.
Wow, yeah. It's a good binge for sure. You'll definitely go from episode to episode there with this show, just watching it. So yeah, we got one more book left. Sad. It's only 3 books of the show. It's very sad, but
Yes, that is, hey, but the real Avatar: The Last Airbender was the friends we made along the way.
very true there. Does it make you wanna go back watch, Legend of Korra again after this? Maybe go back.
I'd I'm kind of. I really remember loving that first season of Legend of Korra and kind of, lukewarm on book 2 of that show, but really digging what they did with book 3 and 4.
Mm, okay. Yeah. Yeah, so Avatar: The Last Airbender, people.
Mm.
Alright.
Cinema, peak television, beautiful, beautiful cinema.